Welcome to Retail Rescue, the podcast episode where we breathe new life into your salon's retail strategy.
Yeah. And if you're thinking about, okay, I don't know about retail sales, there's Ulta now, there's, all the big box stores. Like we don't even sell retail in our store anymore. And so we're going to give you a new perspective today, a huge opportunity if you're selling retail or if you've even canceled selling retail to help you understand really like how to rescue, how to bring it back into your salon space and how to ramp it up to really create new opportunities for the clients that you serve.
Yeah, because here's what we know. You wouldn't do any of the services that you offer inside of your company without the retail that best supports that guest or client's total look. Whether it's hair, skincare, makeup, anything that is beauty related, there is some sort of a product that customer needs in order to recreate that look at home. And so when we're diving into this, it's no longer, hey, I'm just going to rely on everybody else. No, you have to be able to offer that so that they can get started right away. You're serving them by selling them something that's really going to make a big difference inside of their daily life and totally aid in their overall confidence inside of the world.
Yeah. So the first thing we need to do is to really understand the difference between persuade and convince. So we talk about definitions a lot. So if you understand the word convince, which means to bring over by argument, example of this would be like, Lindsay, you need this product because it's going to help, repair the bonds in your hair. And so when we're doing convincing, a lot of times we're looking at the logical side to win a client over. Now, persuade, on the other hand, means to bring over by talking. And so, like, isn't that so simple when you really think about it? Like, really, when we're serving and selling to guests, we're really just using a technique called persuade, which means to bring over by talking. So that would mean like truly understanding what the client's needs are. If Lindsay's my client, like, what's most important to you? Like, how do you want your hair to look and feel after our visit today? Like, that is so different than trying to convince someone to buy just because of the benefits. That really helps you to get to the emotion side of things, which puts things in motion.
I love that, Janet. It really reminds me of a time where I overheard, this was years ago, thankfully. And so now it's, something that we include in our training. But I overheard a stylist in our salon company when they asked somebody, what shampoo are you using at home? And I think the guest said Suave or something like that. And the stylist was like, oh, that's terrible. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I didn't, correct right there in front of the guest. But later I just said, hey, let's have a conversation about this because, that guest or that client was making the best choice for the knowledge that they had at that time,
Mhm.
and now truly understanding the difference between convince and persuade. I just said, can I share another idea on, how we could approach this conversation, by just saying, okay, so you're using Suave, thank you for letting me know, like, why did you choose that product or how is that working currently for you? And let the guest talk to them. And then you can start to share some of the benefits about the product that you're using and how this could really, change the trajectory of their hair. Okay, well, just so you know, today I'm going to be using XYZ shampoo. And I chose this, based on our conversation earlier where you mentioned, you have trouble with frizz or you have lack of volume or lack of shine or whatever it is, and then you're just bringing them over by talking. You're never judging
Mhm.
or arguing with anything that they're doing, and it really makes all of the difference in the world, because people just perceive that so differently. And like you mentioned, Jen, you're really tapping into, that emotional connection and building that trust versus just making it logical because that's people don't buy based on logic.
That's so good. So good. And I love when you really understand those words, convince and persuade, because like when you work all day behind the chair, behind the table, and you're trying to convince people to take the opportunity to add on treatments or convince people to buy products, like you kind of feel exhausted. Actually, you don't kind of, you feel exhausted by the end of the day because you're like, feel like you're working so hard to prove to them that they need this. And so like, it's such a more simple way when you can really just get connected to that person through a conversation, understand, what's missing from them or what their greatest problems are, and be able to, listen, learn, and return an opportunity for them. Like, wow, that just makes you feel so much free and so much less chaotic at the end of the day.
Yes. You can leave not feeling wiped out and exhausted. I love that, Jen. That's great. So good. So let's talk about some retail rescue strategies that you can share with your team. Because, number one is helping to reframe selling as serving. So what you really want to start to reframe for your team is to really think of retail as a way to continue caring for your clients even after they leave the salon, because that is one thing, that we see inside of our industry. People choose this industry all the time because they love helping other people. And the truth is, none of us would perform any of the services we do as well as we do without the added benefit and care of the products and, tools that we use to create the looks. So helping your team to see, hey, retail is a way to continue caring for your clients even after they leave the salon totally changes the way that they see retail.
Love that. Another strategy that you can use is the power of storytelling. Like teaching your team to share transformational experience with the products to help build trust. And I like to say too, like when we're telling stories, like to take away the words I, me, or my, and use the word you, because really when you're telling a story, you want them to be able to see how it relates to them. And so like, the power of storytelling, like when you've heard a good story, you're locked in, you're ready to listen to it. The same thing can happen when we're, serving our guest and making that connection to what's going to be the best home hair care, home skin care for them.
I love that, Jen. The next thing to share with your team is to really help just create a retail journey. You want to position retail as part of the whole salon experience. It's not just an afterthought, so really, talking about it in that moment, using the power of storytelling, like Jen just said, like, this is what you will notice, when you're at the shampoo bowl, what you will notice when we get back over to the chair. First of all, you'll smell this amazing fragrance, but you'll also notice these benefits. And I chose this based on our conversation earlier, so really just creating a journey to where it continues in through the whole entire service and not just like randomly putting lotions and potions on people's hair or skin and wondering, well, I don't know why they don't take it home. I don't know why they're going to XYZ retailer and buying it instead of here.
Yes, so good, so good. Another strategy you want to make sure that you do with your team as well is track and celebrate wins. Like this is so huge, like think about how can you gamify the selling of retail daily? Like, giving a shout out for the first person that makes a sale for a home hair care product for the day, or like keeping a, something in the back room that just celebrates all, best yet retail sales for the day. Or, even like we like to promote teams, so putting your team into groups of smaller, like groups of 2 or groups of 3, and then like having a retail contest to, see who can do the most sales or the most treatments or whatever it may be. So, I think that's an important part of it, is to really make sure that we celebrate the success that we create when it comes to retail.
Yeah. And just a few thought-provoking questions, to think about, and when you're creating the space that your retail lives in, what would your retail space say about your brand if it could talk? What does that space look like? What are clients feeling when they walk into that space? Is it an inviting space? Do they feel like they can touch the products, they can ask questions, you have some shelf talkers on there to help kind of guide that experience? Or what is missing that could really help elevate your brand and the product brands that you choose to partner with in that space, so that clients want to buy, because truly, when we're thinking about selling, all we're doing
Mhm.
is trying to create the environment where people want to buy. And so, you might be thinking, okay, Lindsay, I have an older space. It's not the most perfect up to date retail space. And we don't necessarily mean the space itself. We also mean the words that you're choosing to use with that, and using a persuasive way versus a convincing way, and so thinking about that all encompassing space, what is it creating for the client when they walk into your salon or spa? And does it create the environment where they want to buy?
Yeah. And, with your team, when you think about that, how to set this up as well as like, it's very common to see service providers work with a client and just say, what do you want to do today? And like, so we really, if we're going to persuade for good, we really have got to understand and get connected to that client by asking questions, collecting more data, like ask more questions and more questions. I've really worked on that with my team because what we know is that data equals dollars. And so like, if you're not collecting enough data from the client to understand what's important to them, it's going to be hard to prescribe the perfect, take home product for them. It'd be like going to the doctor and you say, I have a headache. And they say, okay, just take this prescription here. Like without truly finding like what is the root cause of the headache. And I see this happen in salons all the time. And we wonder why consumers are buying their products elsewhere, like Lindsay was saying. It's because we're not even educating and serving them to their highest good.
So if you had some amazing takeaways from our time together today, we would love for you to leave us a review on this podcast, or comment if you're catching this on YouTube or on another platform. We're just so grateful for the time that we get to spend together with you. If you know another salon owner that could benefit from any of the free resources that we have, please share. We appreciate your time together, and we look forward to seeing you